So, I can read the email in a moment, but just to share that, we're on the 9th session of our stages along the path to enlightenment. And it's been perhaps a little bit more circuitous, or 2 and 1 and 1 and 2 kind of energies. So we're going to just keep going and follow the thread. And today's session and all the sessions and all the teachings come from Phuntsok's 20 plus years as a Buddhist monk, and now his 10, 15 plus years teaching out of his apartment and on Zoom, and making all of these teachings very accessible and also very I want to say rooted in current day reality, so that they're not esoteric in a way that makes it hard to grasp. That's one thing that strikes me about the beauty of the sessions. And of course, please, you all know how to donate. It's in the email. And just a reminder, that's PayPal, Venmo, and Patreon. And donations are very welcome and supportive. So today's topic is really about the call, our noble vocation, one might say. And I'll just read the email so that we have that fresh in our minds. It says, last session, we covered the 3 essential ways we engage with reality. These provide the architecture through which we create our experiences. They build homes of samsara, or one of the 2 nirvanas. As human beings born in this realm of existence, we have the miraculous capacity to be conscious agents of compassion. The universe, one might say, wants this, but perhaps more precisely invites this of us. It is strong enough, vast enough, patient enough to accept rejection. However, every time someone says, yes, I will train, I will transform, I will become capable of liberating others, evolution takes another step forward. Another petal of the infinite petaled universe unfolds. If we can hold the tension between relentlessly attempting without success to find true satisfaction on one hand, and our delusional impulses to escape reality on the other, without actually succumbing to either one of these, then perhaps we can finally allow something new to emerge. We can answer the call to be our fullest, most authentic galactic selves. There we go. And with that, I guess we're just going to jump right in. I missed last session, so I'm excited to be here. And I'm sort of doing this from my car, so at some point I'll have to turn off my camera, unfortunately, and drive off, but I'll stay here by audio. So thank you, Phuntsok. Thank you for everything you do and all the teachings you offer us.
Thank you, Nizam. All right, so we'll begin the way we usually begin. We'll meditation, and then we'll go into the topic. And this time, I really wanted to stay on point, so I wrote something, and then I'll be reading a lot, and then eventually, I didn't write enough. If there's time, I'll go into free form like I usually do. But tonight is a bit, it's a bit special. Okay. All right, so let's begin. Let's do our meditation. Just hold in conscious awareness the intention to enter meditation without immediately sending this as an order, a command to the different parts of you, but rather just stay in the center of all the dimensions, holding this intention and allowing all the different parts of your dimension, all the different parts to respond cooperatively, however they wish, to this intention, to this call to meditate. Trust that all the different dimensions know what meditation is, so you don't need to hammer into them. Meditation is this, let's do this. Let them respond according to their own understanding. Let the body respond according to its own intelligence, understanding of what meditation is. Let the mind respond, let the emotion respond, let the energy respond, let the instincts respond. and be in the center, not a person in the center receiving, but rather the place where all those different dimensions meet and become a center of cooperation. And what feels like you is simply the voice of all of them. Feel the communication that the physical body is communicating. When you feel the impulse to make certain adjustments with the legs, with the spine, with the shoulders and hands, with the head and neck, with the mouth, teeth, tongue, with the eyes. And just keep paying attention and making the adjustment that you feel is a suggestion communicated from the intelligence of the body itself. And witness how paying attention and actually implementing the adjustments being suggested, you're beginning to feel yourself through the body entering into a space that we can call meditation. The state of authentic being. And eventually, you feel a sense of confidence arising from the body itself. That's a sign that the body is ready, cooperating. And once you get that sign, then gently go to the breath. As you breathe in, you simply know you're breathing in. As you breathe out, you simply know you are breathing out, without trying to shorten or extend the in-breath or the out-breath. Just be a witness. And once in a while, the body may call you, oh, there's tension here, there's tension there. Gently, without leaving the breath, go to that part of your body and just hold now the intention, relax, and witness the cooperation and witness the relaxation actually taking place. And a sense of enhancement in the overall sense of being in meditation, also enhancing the calm, the pleasantness, the sense of distinctive knowing, distinctive presence, present, the sense of presence being intense, intensifying, vividness, and a sense of the mind letting go and collecting itself more and more, more and more. And eventually, through the breath, there will be another sign, a sign of the different parts meeting, aligning, where the breath feels a bit slightly different in its behavior than a moment before, or in alignment with that sense of calm, that sense of pleasantness that is palpably present in the body. And as you witness these signs of approaching, of entering deeper, of crossing from everyday awareness to subtle awareness, we welcome that. We welcome the signs. We rejoice upon encountering them. In what is palpably beginning to arise in the body and the breath, we begin to feel it energetically. We begin to feel it also in the mind. And take that as an indication to fully commit to this journey of ever approaching ever closer to natural state. And the way we can sort of sign this commitment is using conscious breath. So we will do 3 full conscious breath as an indication of our commitment, of our determination to get closer to that authentic state. So take an inventory of where you are in terms of the calm, the measure of the calm in the body, energetically, in the breath, the mind, emotionally, the measure of pleasantness, the measure of distinctiveness, the measure of vividness, of presentness, of collected attention, whatever that measure may be. Just take a measure, and as you are in the midst of that, gently, fully breathe in and hold the breath. And as you hold the breath, just relax. Have the intention to continue to allow natural state to emerge, to be experienced, to let go. And when you're ready, let the breath go. And as you're letting go, witness yourself actually going deeper into the calm, deeper into the pleasantness, deeper into the clarity and radiance, deeper into collective consciousness, collected attention. And at the end of that breath, just stay there, leave the breath alone, just stay there. Notice the calm is calmer, the pleasant is more pleasant. If you have inner sensations, they're a bit stronger, more present. Instead of noticing them a few seconds afterwards, you're noticing them closer to when they actually occur. And there is a vividness, a brightness to how we are aware of them. That's the natural luminosity beginning to dawn. And attention is becoming less interested in outside and more interested in what's happening within. So within, on this platform, on this new platform, new calm, new pleasantness, new stronger clarity, stronger radiance, stronger collected attention. We will take that as a new platform to dive even deeper. So again, be aware and then take a nice deep breath. Hold it. Again, relax, 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 and release. And as you're releasing again, feel yourself going deeper, letting go as if you're a balloon, letting go of the air, allowing yourself to find its natural shape, natural space. And again, the end of the exhalation takes you to a new place. Leave the breath alone, let it return what it wants to, let it return how it wants to, and notice the new depth. The calm is calmer, the pleasant is more pleasant. The inner sensations are brighter, clearer, more louder, um, more distinct, more present, more nowness. And rejoice. Welcome this. And now the third conscious breath. Gently, fully breathe in, hold, relaxing, letting go, and getting ready to go deeper. Let go. And at the end of that exhalation, just stay where you reached, where that exhalation took you. And again, notice the calm is calmer, the pleasant is more pleasant. The inner sensations are more isolated, more distinct, more vivid, more nowness. Rejoice again. And just take this as though it is common knowledge, common understanding, commonly accepted, that all of reality is a web of interconnection. And appearances emerge from that web. And there are certain appearances that act as a mirror, or should I say, more of a mirror than others. Somehow, just perceiving these appearances immediately remind us of something profound, something truly meaningful. The face of the teacher, the face of your grandmother, the image, the icons of beings, personages that we admire, or even hero characters from fiction. They act like a mirror, reminding us of something within us, something profound, something meaningful. So ask the web of interconnectedness to take that form for you that will immediately inspire you. So let the image of your grandmother come, let the image of the teacher come if you're lucky to have such. Let the image of that archetype come and feel how they're the very perceiving of them is invoking something within you, something you feel is truly meaningful. And express trust in what is being invoked within you. Express reverence for this reminder and express gratitude. And as you are experiencing the gratitude, the reverence, the sense of trust, relax. Let them take you where they wish to take you, deeper into the calm, deeper into the pleasantness, deeper into the clarity, the radiance, deeper into collected attention. And we want what this appearance is doing for us, not simply as a reminder when we are in its presence, but rather as our instinct, as a pull coming from deep within that we feel the need to respond to. So bring this presence, feel it, see it shining brightly. You can even conceptually say it shines with the brilliance of 1,000,000 suns, and yet its rays are intensely compassionate, intensely caring, intensely loving, where you feel a love beyond what you felt for your own self. You feel a compassion beyond what you felt for your own self. And you can surrender, you can trust, you can be without having to hide certain parts of you. And as it continues to shine on you, feel its rays removing barriers, barriers of doubt, barriers of hesitation, barriers of misunderstandings. And feel your heart opening more, opening more, opening more. And at a certain stage, feel a sense of opening, a sense of readiness, a sense of readiness. I'm ready to let go of what is holding me back. I'm ready to take on what is actually going to help transform me to what is calling me. To whatever degree you're able to sense that, hold on to it as though that's the only thing that exists, that's the only thing that matters. and holding on to that, and feel that bright presence now descending through the crown of your head. Feel that as measures of acceptance, measures of surrendering, until it reaches the very center of your heart, and just surrender to what you know you should surrender to. And getting ready to come out of the meditation, knowing that the part of you that will be able to discriminate properly, this is worthy, this is not worthy. Feel its presence. Knowing that it will do this, you express gratitude to it. And feeling ready to make this moment, this hour or so that we're going to spend together, meaningful. I'm feeling ready. Now get ready to come out of the meditation. Notice that you are indeed in meditation. Noticing the signs, rejoice, because you're actually coming out of something, not just taking a step within the same place. So noticing the sign that you're in meditation, rejoice, take the intention to come out, take a nice deep breath, hold for a second, and then release the breath. And as you're releasing it, deliberately have your senses become aware of your immediate surroundings. Feel your immediate surroundings through the sense of touch. Notice the clothing, the temperature, the seat. Notice the sounds, notice the colors, notice the shapes, notice the lights. Okay. All right. So where are we? I have to admit that I'm not going to go to the actual next step in the Lamrim. I'm going to jump a little bit with the topic that we're going to talk about tonight. So far, we've learned about needing a good pair of shoes to be on the path. And that is the joy that comes from acknowledging and recognizing how fortunate we are. And that acknowledgement gives us the joy to be able to have the resilience that is absolutely necessary for the path, because the path doesn't end the next day once we decided to step on it. We have no idea how long we will have the journey will be. And we need to be resilient. We need to be able to face circumstances that are very difficult, to be able to face them and be able to surmount them, be able to overcome them. And having that joy that comes from acknowledging that we are indeed very fortunate beings, that will give us the resilience, and the resilience is a kind of unshakable joy, because that recognition will sort of tether us to something that we know is absolutely possible. And no matter what reality throws at us, we will not be able to lose sight of what we are tethered to. And that will continue to give us the joy to be able to meet difficult circumstances with, and they will come. Sometimes the difficult situation that we think are going to occur, and we sort of prepare ourselves for them, they're not the ones that we encounter. They're actually some difficulties that we sometimes may think that this will not be a difficulty for me when it comes. But when it comes, we discover, okay, this is really difficult. And this will give us the resilience to be able to continue, because we need it. And so from that, then we'll jump to the very last thing that we did, which was what are referred to as the 3 trainings, but they're further qualified by 3 higher trainings. And the reason that they were introduced first as their trainings, they are the actual ways that we actually um, create our experiences of reality. We can use these. We use these in such a way that they mold reality in such a way that the experience of reality is samsaric, meaning we are not in touch with with the reality as it is, but actually we are engaging reality with a fantasy. We are engaging reality with misconception, misunderstanding of reality. And when we engage reality from that, then it distorts reality and makes our distortion experience what we call samsara. And now when we begin to look at reality, look at our direct experiences, and allow them to be what they are, rather than overlaying them with stories, overlaying them with what we would like them to be, but allowing them to be just exactly what they are, then we begin to grow wisdom. And we begin to notice how our own direct behavior, how we relate with reality, how that very mode of relating actually participate in molding our experiences. Then we begin to behave more skillfully. That is, our behavior begins to be more in alignment with the nature of reality. And that nature of reality that we're beginning to discover more and more and more and more is that reality itself is pure interconnectedness. Everything that we encounter, we are encountering a configuration of interconnectedness. And that's what reality has always been. That's what reality will always be. There is no other reality. Then we need to then skillfully begin to uh, to calibrate our instrument that is capable of having a direct experience of what reality, the true nature of reality. We begin to direct our attention. We begin to make it be able to be, and I'll use this word, even though it has already lots of uh, misconception, but it's already loaded with preconceived ideas. But we begin to be focused. We begin to what's that expression? It's when someone is keep focusing on something and they want to forget about other things. Uh, absorbed. Okay, we begin to direct the mind's capacity to be absorbed towards what is truly skillful, towards what is will be more in line with the true nature of reality. Okay, so these three trainings, how we guide our attention to be less scattered, how we begin to engage, how we relate with reality, whether that reality is our own subjective reality or whether that reality is appearing as objective reality. However reality is appearing to us, we begin to skillfully address it, beginning to skillfully relate with it. And then we continuing to allow what is actually there to be there without stories, then our wisdom begins to grow. And eventually, this will lead to two kinds of nirvanas, as they say. And I have to say, the idea of two kinds of nirvanas, uh, particularly these two kinds of nirvanas, are found within the traditions that are called Mahayana. Okay, the Theravadan tradition, don't call it what people in Mahayana call them. Okay, they're not that. Okay, the two nirvanas according to Mahayana, and I'm talking about what both call nirvana without remainder. Basically, once you reach nirvana and the 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 body the body no longer the body has run its karmic course. It no longer is tethered to what you might call life. Okay, I'm talking about that nirvana. Yes, there is a nirvana that you can achieve nirvana while you're still alive, basically. And both Theravadan and Mahayanas agree on that, but they disagree when it comes to the nirvana, what is called nirvana without remainder. Within Mahayana, there is an extra nirvana. There's a nirvana without remainder, which is referred to as solitary or personal nirvana. And there's a nirvana which is called nirvana that does not abide, a non-abiding nirvana. Okay, these terms are very philosophical and very blah, 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 blah. But basically, the nirvana with the nirvana that is a personal nirvana is basically you've done all your work and you really want to retire from reality. You really want to retire from having to relate with others. So reality gives you that option. But according to Mahayana, that option is really just a delusion. There's really no actual, true escape from relating. But you can have an experience where the very possibility of relating just doesn't exist anymore. It is an extremely blissful experience where you become itself, you become bliss itself. There's no you enjoying bliss, it's just bliss. Okay, as far as the experience is concerned. The other nirvana is the nirvana that the Mahayana proposes exists. And it's a nirvana where you're no longer subject to samsaric projections, samsaric experiences, as far as your relationship with reality. And at the same time, you're in you're in the bliss that the personal nirvana is experiencing, but you're still capable of relating with others. This is called the nirvana that is that is not non-abiding nirvana. And this nirvana doesn't look for a time when it will just retire from existence. The very uh, the very continuation of that is its nirvana, is its end. And we will go deeper into that. Okay? So you have your choice. You can continue to relate with reality in such a way where the way you relate with it, the kind of focus you have, the kind of absorption that you have, the kind of body of knowledge that you collect, will continue to produce good old samsaric experience. That is your choice. Or if you feel, okay, I've really had enough of this, I don't want it to continue anymore, then you also have the choice of appearing to escape, to no longer be in reality, no longer be relating, where the very concept of relating just doesn't exist for you anymore. Or you can do what we're about to talk about, achieving the non-abiding nirvana. And I'll begin to read now. Okay. I'll go to my notes. So this is something that I've sort of been saying for quite some time. And it seems like I'm sort of being prophetic, but I definitely don't want to sound like somehow I'm saying some sort of prophecy. But it's something that I think uh, is obvious to all of us. If indeed we continue in the direction that we are going, humanity, if humanity continues to go in the direction that it's going, eventually our own biology, we will change our biology, we will change our capacities. Uh, so you can say we are now at we are, when I say we, I'm not talking about just this generation, okay? I'm talking about we, humanity, in this age, you could say, all right? Not only our generation, but this generation, the next generation, but this age. We stand at a crossroad in human evolution, and not biological evolution, but something much more profound. You could say evolution of consciousness itself. So for millions of years, if you subscribe to evolution, life evolved. And as it evolved, it mainly in the beginning was through competition, through struggle for survival. Then something extraordinary happened. You could say conscience emerged within consciousness. And with that sense of conscience within consciousness came the possibility of something that transcends just mere survival. It is the possibility of wisdom, the possibility of compassion, of ultimately choosing to transform, to participate, to consciously participate in our transformation, to go beyond just our mere conditioning that we find ourselves in. So what we're talking about, we're talking about bodhicitta. And from the very beginning, I want you to understand this. Think of bodhicitta not as something that Buddhism gifted to the world, okay? But rather, it's the world's destiny calling to us, but through Buddhism. You can say it is the next stage of human development. And it's calling to each of us right now. Let's do a little bit of a anthropology. Look at human consciousness or consciousness within the human. Look how it has transformed. You could say our earliest ancestors cared only for immediate survival, right? They care for food, shelter, reproduction, and they care for what they consider to be their immediate own, like their family. Then the transformation of consciousness began to extend the sense of self. So the sense of self extend to the family, and then they were able to extend that sense of self to the tribe. So human identity continued to expand. And we began to do something that seems to be anti-nature, or at least anti what was going on around us. We began to learn to sacrifice individual gain for the group. So we develop complex societies where we develop where we extended the sense of self to include what you might call the village, the city, the nation. We begin to extend that to causes what we consider to be larger than just ourselves. And we created laws, ethics, entire systems of thought about how to live together harmoniously. Not that we completely succeeded at doing these, but we began with these things. And each stage represented an expansion of concern, you could say, a widening of the circle of who matters. So even religion went beyond the tribe. It sent invitation, you could say, to other tribes. And when the other, what used to be called other, became a member of that particular religion or that particular society, then they became in the circle of who mattered. But every previous stage stopped somewhere. It drew a line. My family, not yours. My nation, not yours. My species, not others. Even our highest ideals so far, human rights, universal dignity, they still draw a circle and say this far, but no further. And bodhicitta's aim, or what it has done, what it does to an individual, is that it shatters that final barrier. So remember, the Bodhisattva aspiration sometimes expressed in these words, may I attain complete awakening for the sake of all sentient beings. And when you listen to that, may I attain complete awakening for the sake of all sentient beings, it sounds like idealism. But this is not idealism. This isn't utopian dreaming. This is recognizing what consciousness must become if it is to fulfill its deepest potential. This is the completion, you could say, of the evolutionary arc that began when the first humans looked up at the stars and wondered why. Because here's what we are finally beginning to understand. The self-cherishing mind is an evolutionary dead end. A consciousness that remains trapped in the illusion of separation, that continues to divide reality into me versus everything else. This consciousness cannot solve the problem that it creates. It cannot find the lasting peace that it craves. It cannot even protect the self that it's so desperately trying to preserve. So bodhicitta is the way forward. Not because it is morally superior, but it is. Not because it is, some kind of it's more compassionate, um, even though it is, but because it is true. It aligns with the actual nature of reality, where all being, all reality are interconnected. That is the very reality, interconnection, where because of that, information can truly be separate from someone else's. And from the start also, I must be very clear about something. Even though it is something that we encounter in books that philosophers seem to love to talk about, don't be deceived. Bodhicitta is not a philosophy to contemplate. It is not a beautiful idea to appreciate. It is not even a practice to perform. Okay? Philosophy observes and theorizes. Philosophy says, isn't it interesting that compassion might be beneficial? Philosophy debates the nature of altruism. It constructs arguments. It writes papers. It writes books. It writes tomes. The thing we have to understand about bodhicitta, it's a vocation. It's a call. And a call demands a response. Now, let's think about what it means to have a true vocation. Like, for example, if you're a doctor, you're not a doctor merely because you think that healing is valuable. You're a doctor because you are seized by the necessity of healing. If you're an artist, you don't just appreciate beauty. That's not what makes you an artist. You're an artist because there's something in you that demands that you create, or you cannot rest. Take a parent, for example. A parent doesn't philosophize about caring for her child or his child. The call to protect and nurture is immediate, it is visceral, it is undeniable. That's what bodhicitta must be. Otherwise, it's just philosophy. It's not real bodhicitta. It must be visceral, it must be undeniable. You must feel it as in alignment with reality. So bodhicitta is like this. When it truly arises, it's not something you study, okay? Even though there are books, many books, and the texts, many texts that we are talking about exist. But it's not just something you study. It's something that seizes you, that you allow to seize you. It reconstructs, it restructures your entire existence around a single burning question. How can I become capable of liberating all beings? Now, I remember at times when I've presented this, how can I become capable of liberating all beings? I received many different responses from that. Some responses are, isn't it a bit arrogant to think that I can liberate all sentient beings? Isn't it intruding on personal freedom to bring liberation to all beings? But now I have an answer for that, a better answer. If you follow any philosophy, if you follow any religion, you are validating the need of one to do exactly what you're talking about, interfering in another person's life. If a scientist publishes his or her findings, that scientist is participating in seeking to change people's minds. Why do the prophets exist? Why do the saints, why do the avatars, why do they exist? the very existence, the very create or founders of religion exists specifically because they felt a call to speak something to humanity about helping them participating in their transformation. So if there's any, it doesn't matter if the religion is not, has no call for some sort of messianic call. It doesn't matter. The very existence of the religion is itself a messianic call. It's a response to it's a messianic response. If the beautiful thing that you just heard from God or whatever really is transformative, why don't you just keep it to yourself? Why the need to communicate it to others? The need to communicate to others is because of this call that it can't be just mine alone. I have to share this. So you could say the bodhicitta call is perhaps communicated or formalized within Buddhism, but it is something that exists within humanity itself. Whenever someone finds something and feels the need to communicate it, there is a bit of the bodhicitta in there. Okay? So my response now to this idea of how isn't it arrogance? And if that person follows a religion, then that person is denying the very existence of the religion. The only reason that religions have lasted hundreds of years, thousands of years, is because of this transfer, the need to transfer, the need to participate, or intrude in someone else's life with the aim of hoping that this intrusion will be for their benefit. Okay, so when you restructure your entire existence around this single burning question, then you have bodhicitta. So this is why in Tibetan Buddhism, Tibetan tradition, when you take the Bodhisattva vow, this ceremony, this event is surrounded by such solemnity, such ritual power, because we're not signing up for a meditation class, okay? We're not joining some philosophical school. We're responding to existence's deepest call. We're saying to the universe, we're saying to reality, yes, I will transform. I will become what I must become. I will bring to complete fruition what consciousness is capable, what is potential within consciousness. And I will not rest until all beings are free. And this idea, I will not rest until all beings are free, is not really stuck. It's not really addicted. That was what I was looking for. No, it wasn't the word. It's not an addiction to eventually coming at a point where you say, oh, finally, all beings are free. Now I am free from having to do this job. But you put it this way, your nirvana, your heaven is this vocation itself. The doctor who is engaged in healing is this. The artist who is engaged act of creating is not anxious waiting for the end product so he can go to rest. But the very act of creation is their bliss, is their heaven. So when you take on the call of being a bodhisattva, the very act of being a bodhisattva is your heaven. So you're not looking for some end time when you will finally come to a rest, when you no longer have to relate to these beings who can't recognize their nature, their reality. So the traditional aspiration prayer says something like this, right? May I attain Buddhahood for the sake of all sentient beings. Now, I want you to feel the weight of that. Buddhahood, complete, perfect awakening. And The reason you're seeking it is not for your own peace, not for your own liberation, but as an instrument of for universal liberation. The entire spiritual path becomes reconfigured. Every meditation session, every moment of practice, every time you're relating with someone, every time you're relating with your own subjectivity, every time you're relating with what seems to be objectivity, every insight you gain, um, every wisdom you gain, every power you gain, none of it is for you. It is all for the service of this vocation. And within Mahayana, there is this idea of eventually, when you become a Buddha, you have what you call your own Buddha field, your own Buddhaverse, where you are the sovereign of a universe, where you are, where every citizen of this universe is a highly evolved bodhisattva, and who have earned the merit to be a citizen of your Buddhaverse. And they're there to continue their training without the interruption of when you're a human being, you forget who you are, and then hoping that somebody finds you and helps you put you back on the road, and you have to sort of like retrain yourself, reconnect to what you had before, and then build on that, and you're able to get a little bit each time. But there is this existence where every moment is training, every moment is getting closer and closer to being a bodhisattva, to being a Buddha, to being able to do that. Okay, so when a Buddha is in that being where the bliss of your existence, yes, the bliss of your existence is, you align yourself with reality in such a way that you become an agent of reality's deepest, uh, deepest truth of interconnectedness. Shantideva put it perfectly in the Bodhisattvacharya Avatara. I'm not going to quote him, even though how I am about quoting directly. He said something like, when you truly exchange self and other, when you genuinely take others' suffering as more important than your own comfort, you can't not respond. It's not heroism at that point. It's not even it's not even a choice. It's as natural as, taking your hand from fire. Except now, the fire is the world's suffering, and your hand is every being trapped in it. So when you are doing the act of removing a sentient being from fire through engaging yourself in their lives in whatever way is skillful, it is as natural to you as you pulling your own self out. So what is calling? What is this voice that asks us to transform, to be the utmost that we can be, but completely for the sake of others, for the sake of the web of interbeing? What is calling? Suffering is calling. The world's pain is literally calling for bodhisattvas. Right now, in this moment, countless beings are experiencing fear, loss, confusion, pain. Animals are being hunted, terrified. Humans are dying alone, grieving, despairing, in a state that we can barely imagine, are trapped in their own mental anguish. And you know, this is not an abstraction. This is happening now. This is the calling. This is what is calling. The very fact that on your way to wherever you encountered someone that tugged at your heart because of the condition that you witnessed, that is the calling. And you're aware of it. And the suffering is not just, you know, a fact to be noted. It is a call. That suffering itself is the call. Every being's struggle is an invitation for you to transform beyond self-concern. But here's what makes this more than mere empathy, more than simple compassion. The call isn't just asking you to feel bad about suffering, okay? The call isn't The call is asking you to become capable of ending it. Become capable of ending it. Not just alleviating it temporarily. And alleviating it temporarily doesn't mean that you shouldn't do that. If you have the capacity to temporarily alleviate the suffering, do so, but with the understanding it is temporary alleviation. And not just offering comfort, even though that has its place to offer comfort, but to develop the complete wisdom and power necessary to guide beings to ultimate freedom. That's why the aspiration is for Buddhahood. I have to say, there are a lot of, outside of Mahayana, and probably even within some Mahayana societies, there is a misunderstanding of the Bodhisattva. There is a misunderstanding of the state of Buddhahood. When we encounter readings where the Bodhisattva is delaying their entry into Nirvana for the sake of others, or sometimes it is said, delaying their Buddhahood for the sake of others. When achieving the state of Buddhahood is the means to fulfill that wish in a spontaneous, complete way. So when they say the Bodhisattva is delaying, it is a frame of mind that we are asked to understand, to appreciate. That person has the capacity, has the means to escape reality, no longer have to relate with anyone, where even the idea of suffering doesn't exist in their reality anymore. So if that is a possibility, so the Bodhisattva is constantly delaying that. But the nirvana for the Bodhisattva, the heaven for the Bodhisattva, the blissful existence for the Bodhisattva is to continue this vocation. So this aspiration is for that state where you are completely capable, spontaneously, to be able to alleviate others' suffering. And whether or not there are beings ready for that, that doesn't determine whether or not Buddhahood state can be achieved or not. Doesn't determine whether or not the state of Buddhahood is worthy of being achieved, or if the state of Buddhahood is functional. But just holding that readiness, whoever is ready, may I be able to appear to them. And because I'm completely disengaged from self-concern, from the limits of self-concern, I'm open to all the possibilities with which to engage this being, to help them take another step further, closer towards liberation from suffering. Because for the Bodhisattva, anything less than Buddhahood is not enough. Okay? So the idea in some circles that the Bodhisattva is holding back achieving that state is a misunderstanding. Because anything less than that is not enough. Ordinary kindness helps, but it can't liberate. Ordinary wisdom provides some relief, but it can't cut the root of suffering. So the Bodhisattva wants that kind of what is referred to as spontaneous compassion, complete openness. And the immense power that that compassion provides, and the kind of wisdom that is truly that's why wisdom always is has used the metaphor of being like a sword that actually can cut the root of suffering. The Bodhisattva wants that. So the call of the Bodhisattva is asking you to become extraordinary, to transform to the absolute limits of what consciousness can achieve. And take this as interesting, profound truth that makes this possible. Okay? You cannot put in your mind that I would like to be a hero, because this is not heroism. This is not becoming a saint in a sense of a superhuman morality. This is the natural expression of understanding reality correctly. When you truly see interdependence, when you genuinely understand that your own well-being and every other being's well-being are inseparable, then bodhicitta isn't sacrifice. It is finally becoming sane. It is the only response that makes sense. When you recognize that the boundary between self and other is conceptual, not ultimate, that what we call I, there's nothing, and this is something that unfortunately in trying to gain wisdom, we completely get messed up. What we call I is a fluid, interdependent process rather than a separate entity. Okay? So when you understand the I to be that, then you're not ready to say I. But when you think the I is some separate, completely disconnected, complete true unit within reality, then you have no idea what I is. It's not that the very idea of I is wrong, but our understanding of what I actually is, that's where it is wrong. So I is a fluid, interdependent process. Constantly, it doesn't come, it's not like it's making it's transforming to finally get to a final end, then it stops. The very process itself is what we're calling I. And because the I is a fluid, constantly interdependent process, constantly reconfiguration process, that's what makes it possible for that configuration to find itself one day to be reconfigured, to continue to no longer experience suffering, to continue to experience its configuration where it is now completely in alignment with the true nature of reality. So caring for all beings isn't different from caring for yourself. It's recognizing for the first time what self actually is. And it's going to sound a bit like I'm being uh, sacrilegious, talking about what self actually is. But it's the time that we recognize that. Okay, so do not be confused about whether there is self or not self. That is not the point of wisdom. Point of wisdom is to understand what is self really, what it has always been, what it will always be. So reality is calling humans to become its conscious agent of compassion. We are the beings who can hear this call. We are the configuration of reality because we are so configured, we can hear the call and we can do something about it. And every time someone generates genuine bodhicitta, every time someone says yes to that call, I will train, I will transform, I will become capable of liberating others, I will completely disconnect from self-reference, from self-concern, and allow myself to completely meld into the fabric of reality so that I become a spontaneous agent of compassion. Then you could say evolution takes another leap, another step forward. There's a story that I remember once in a while, and I remember the story is from Robert Thurman. I've said it before, and it's kind of relevant here, where uh, Robert Thurman, this was in Arizona. The Dalai Lama was giving a teaching there on Shantideva's text. And so there were times when people like Robert Thurman would give talks when the Dalai Lama is taking a rest to sort of help us understand what the Dalai Lama may have said. He said something. He said reality is like think of reality as a subway car, not a subway train, but a subway car. Okay, I guess you can have several, no, no several cars, just one big subway car, and we're all in it. That's reality. Okay, you can sit in that corner, or you can sit in this corner, and when someone next to you uh, does something that is unsightly, that is something that is an assault to your nose and your eyes, this is one car. You can go in the far corner and be hit by that assault as not as strongly as if you were in front of it. But the thing is, no matter where you go in the car, you're going to be assaulted. Okay. So there isn't really a true corner that you can go and really be free from it. So what are you compelled to do at that time? You're compelled because you're being assaulted by your nose, you're compelled to do the work of cleaning it up. Okay. So since there isn't since reality is not um, separated into a reality for resting and then a reality for engaging, for relating. So you could say it is not optional. It's not one spiritual path among many equal alternatives. This is where consciousness is heading. This is what we are becoming. The real question is, are we going to resist it? Are you going to delay it? Are you going to deny it? Or whether you're going to say yes now? Okay? Because remember, according to Mahayana, when when the the person who achieves what is referred to as personal liberation achieves that, and there is an experience of severance, a disconnection from relating, and they are in such blissful experience that it is impossible for anything other than the bliss to exist. They haven't escaped. They haven't taken themselves out of reality. They're simply in a corner somewhere, asleep. They're in a very deep sleep, according to Mahayana. And eventually, once in a while, a bodhisattva, a Buddha, a Buddha can do that, they say. They will see, someone has been sleeping for much too long, and they kick that person awake so that they can participate in reality again, and eventually achieve the real nirvana, the nirvana of the vocation of bodhicitta. Okay. So this is not your average Dhamma talk on bodhicitta where I give you, okay, this is how you practice it, but rather taking it a completely slightly different approach. So you can have the appreciation of it. And once you have the appreciation of it, then you can begin to aspire to have it. And understand that bodhicitta is not the momentary compassion. I mean, uh, actual bodhicitta is not the momentary sense of compassion that we have sometimes. It is awakened to that state where compassion has completely taken over our existence. Everything we do is for the sake of compassion, for the sake of that call. Whatever we study, whatever we do, whatever we create, whenever we are relating with others, it is that compassion acting through us. So until we achieve that spontaneous state, when we appreciate, oh, that's a beautiful vocation, I would love to answer that call. Until then, it's called wishing bodhicitta. We are wishing for it. Or aspiring bodhicitta, not wishing bodhicitta, but aspiring bodhicitta, aspiring to have it. When we have it, simultaneously, our mind when we achieve actual bodhicitta, our minds will be in samadhi. Our minds will be in shamatha. And it will be an exceptional shamatha. The bliss that is inherent in the experience of shamatha will be multiplied when it is the shamatha due to bodhicitta. Because there will be a sense of connection at that moment, a sense of, you could say, a peek into the interbeingness of reality, where you will have a sense of um, brotherhood, you could say, with reality itself that is visceral. Okay, so when we see someone do something that is very nice, very compassionate, very loving, it doesn't necessarily mean that's bodhicitta. Okay, but that is something within the avenue of bodhicitta. Um, Let me see if we have time to go into the nitty-gritty. Now, nitty-gritty. Usually, the 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 way of training the mind the way of absorbing the mind so that we end up with the ethics of bodhicitta, the way of relating that bodhicitta causes, the kind of absorption that bodhicitta instills, and the kind of wisdom that bodhicitta makes available to us. The way we do that, there are what we refer to as two paths, and I'm not going to go into them, but what what it, what those two paths do, what they do is that they take something that is already there. Like, for example, the love that is undeniable, that you are able to, that is undeniable in your experience. And you take that and you expand it, where um, either you are object, first you are the object of that love, that compassion, and you see it as admirable, how safe it is, how beautiful it is, that connection, and you allow it to expand to everyone else. And you allow yourself to view others, everyone, as directing that towards you. So it's a reconfiguration, it's a reprogramming, you could say, taking an example of perhaps how your grandmother loves you, how your mother loves you, how your parents love you. This one takes the mother because it's somewhat universal in all cultures, the love of the mother, the compassion of the mother, where we see all beings as that, and we see ourselves as the mother for all beings. Okay, so we take an example and we expand it. And there's another example where if we if our sense of concern for ourselves is very deep, so we take that and we flip it. That's what is referred to as exchanging self and other. And the exchanging of self and other is that we continue to take care of self, but we place self in other, in what we call other before. So we continue to take care of self. We continue to deal with other the way we used to, but we flipped it, we exchanged it. Okay? So these are the two main methods of developing bodhicitta. So you can find those in many places, and I'm sure a lot of you have encountered those already. And there are times when it's kind of difficult to, is it really possible to have that kind of compassion? Is it really possible to have that kind of love? Is it really possible to, as soon as you are relating with someone, the instinctive reaction is out of compassion. Someone cuts you off, someone steps in front of you, someone steps on your toes, someone whom you love betrays you. Is it possible to train yourself in such a way that your immediate instinctive reaction is out of compassion? Yes, it is. It is possible. All right. I think that's it for now. Um, Sorry if you came in to learn the 7 steps and the 12 steps. I have to say sorry because never really fulfilled those kinds of expectations. So if you have any questions about the 7 steps, the 12 steps, or something else you want to challenge me, go ahead. Floor is open before we do the closing meditation. All
Hey,
right. I
Phuntsok.
guess oh, somebody's, okay, go ahead.
Yeah,
I can't really see anybody else, so I'm only seeing myself.
yeah. Um, so I was touched when you mentioned how the doctor, the artist, their vocation is they when they engage in what they do, the way that they engage is not for the end product, but because the act of doing the thing itself is healing for them.
Hmm.
And I was wondering if there's like a way of cultivating that frame of mind where you're engaged in the thing, but some like you have that like vision of the future that's strong, but you have the ability and the state of mind to engage in such a way where your full attention is on the thing that you're doing, and you're as you're doing it, you're cultivating that joyful effort in the thing.
Mhm. Yeah. The training comes with um, artificially instilling the joyful effort, where you basically meaning you consciously, deliberately keep reminding yourself of the beauty that is in that. You keep constantly reminding yourself of uh, the history that you've had with this, but only the history where you made contact through this with something meaningful, when you make contact through that to something beautiful. And you keep reminding yourself of that, keep reminding yourself of that, keep reminding yourself of that until there's this what you might call effortless, not expectation in the sense that you're holding in your mind something that distracts you from being present, but there's it's like mm, the sense of authority that sometimes you express because there's no doubt in your mind that what you are uh, the outcome of your action is just a given. So eventually, through constantly telling yourself this, constantly reminding yourself of this, and don't make things up. Don't make, if something was painful, don't try to force it to, oh, that was actually beautiful. Don't do that. But remind yourself of actual beautiful moments. Remind yourself of actual beautiful, meaningful moments. And eventually, that it will be a spontaneous um, elating. It will be a tethering to that, where um, it's not so much that uh, I I achieved that particular thing, but rather uh, the process, the beauty of the process, and yes, a little bit of the beauty and the wonderful experience of the end product itself, but always connected to the entire process itself. It's like uh, let me think of an actual example, sort of mundane, where if you're convinced, see, that you want to reach that level of conviction. If you're convinced by doing step one, two, three, four will give you uh, an outcome that is desirable, and you're convinced step one, two, three, four will get you there, then you do step one, two, three, four to the best of your ability. As you're doing it, you will enjoy it because you know this is the thing that will connect. It's because this thing is connected to this thing is connected to this is connected to the eventual outcome. So the entire thing becomes becomes I guess enjoyable. And and when you encounter those humps, you say, oh, that's the hump that I jump over to get there. And then jumping over the hump becomes an enjoyable experience. Um, how's that?
Yeah, there's something that I just cherry picked for what you said.
Mhm,
Was like there's a bit of confusion about uh, remembering times when it was really joyful,
mhm,
right? Um, if what I'm doing is I'm in the beginning pretending
mhm,
that there's this beginning phase where I'm pretending that it's joyful what I'm doing. Um, how, like, isn't there a danger of in
Mm-hmm.
the future recalling myself
Mm-hmm.
doing the joyful thing, and the recalling is recalling this
Mm-hmm.
pretending experience that I'm doing now?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So yeah, so it's that at the moment that you're engaging in the act again, and there isn't this sense of appreciating it, in that moment, you go back to recalling how you had that wonderful experience before in the doing. And then you are infusing the present moment with that. That's what I meant. Not that while you're doing it, you're not enjoying it, and you keep telling, "Oh, I'm really enjoying it. I'm really enjoying it." That's what I mean. But you infuse that moment with the memory of when the act of doing was actually joyful.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Hey, all right. Um, yeah, it's time for me to let you go. So we're going to do a interesting meditation. So in the next 10 minutes or so, or less than that, uh, I will be asking you to let's practice bodhicitta, but we won't be practicing bodhicitta. Okay? And don't think about performing a technique or following a meditation instruction in a kind of ordinary sense. Okay? What we'll be doing is simply listening to that call, feeling, feeling where it touches your heart, feeling where it resonates in the depth of your being. And then perhaps, feeling a wish to say yes. And if you use those two sort of techniques, think of something that connects you to uh, uh, having witnessed compassion, having experienced it, having been in the presence of it. Or think of how you care for yourself, and then begin to exchange that self with other, and then feel yourself relating with what was once other and now is the self. Like remember the left hand helping the right hand, not thinking I'm helping the right hand, but I'm helping myself. So begin to sort of develop that instinct where you are moved to help someone, and it's not me helping someone, but helping myself. Okay. And if you want to be in a completely non-conceptual frame of mind and just be in the space and try to feel the call, because it is within it is in the very fabric of being. All right. Make the intention to enter meditation. Again, be that intersecting point where all the different dimensions of your being cross and connect, and be the listening for all the different parts. And when you feel the physical body asking, okay, you want to meditate? Okay, arrange your legs like this. And you do it. Arrange your arms like this. Then you do it. Arrange your head and neck like this. And you do it. And as you're paying attention and making the adjustment, accommodating, you feel through the body entering into a state of calm ever increasing calm, ever increasing pleasantness, ever increasing clarity, ever increasing brightness. And you feel it energetically, then you feel it in the breath. Then remember, it wasn't so long ago you were in the meditative state. Just remember, just recall, just be in the recalling. And as you're in the recalling, you are the state, and you begin to re-experience them physically. That's how your body was. That's how the breath was. That's how the mind was. That's how your emotions were. And you have a taste of it again. And just stay in that space. And now, remember when that appearance form from your own fundamental nature to be a mirror to what is actually calling you came and merge with your mind in your heart. Go to that point and have that sense of openness, ready to hear the call, ready to respond to the call, and use any of the techniques to feel connected to the call. And if you feel any resistance, acknowledge them. Do not dismiss them. And if you're having some degree of difficulty making connection with something, use this imagery. The web of interconnectedness of reality. And there's a sense of disconnection from it. And it's behind you. So just like that exercise of trust, when someone in a group is told to close their eyes and fall backwards and trust that they will be held. So have that, don't do it physically, of course, but in your mind, feel yourself falling, letting the web of reality catch you and feel what happens there. And you can do it over and over and over. Okay. Get ready to come out of the meditation, but first we have to finish the way we always finished. So from that state of whatever measure of bodhicitta or the call you're able to feel, see the circle of us, see the sense of self, of connection appearing as a bright presence in the center. See it expanding and absorbing everything within it. We have the sense of self expanding. And if you did the falling to the net web of reality and the sense of self just no longer a concern, then you just continue. It expands, absorbing every appearance into this just one appearance of self until what you might call all of existence is enveloped. And there's this instinctive response within that. The river is me, the mountain is me, the sky is me, the birds, the animals, the Republicans, the Democrats, the independents, they're all me. In the same way you want to respond to yourself in a way that is compassionate and loving, you want to respond to all. And now you don't need this outer appearance to remind you of this truth. You've graduated, you're matured, then that big present bright appearance of one self begins to shrink. And wherever it leaves a shimmer until it becomes again that bright presence in the center. And it divides itself, entering each one of our hearts. And we have the conviction, whenever I sincerely help myself, I help everyone. When I sincerely help everyone, I help myself. And go back to just the space of the meditation, noticing the calm, the measure of pleasantness, the measure of clarity, radiance, the measure of attention being collected. Acknowledge them, rejoice, dedicate the merit energy that you feel from this, and let it be directed from your compassion. And getting ready to come out, take a nice deep breath. Hold it for a second and release. And as you're releasing it, deliberately, consciously reconnect with your immediate surroundings through the sense of touch. Feel the temperature, feel the clothing for your seat, hear the different sounds, become aware of colors, shapes, lights, shadows, and be in the body deliberately. Wiggle toes, wiggle fingers. And thank you very much. Have a good night. See you next time.
Thank you, Phuntsok. Good night.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.